Hello and welcome back. I'm Uncle Badger. I hope you're all doing well. I wish you good health. Today is going to be another book hoard video. This is going to be part number 3, and again I've Barry the Wizard looking after the books. So yeah, Barry's just going to be over to my left hand side. And we are going to get straight onto the books. There we go. Right, first off, yes, I have a bit of an interest in the Fae, doing bits of workings with them. Some see it as being a bit foolish because they can be slightly... they're not all like Tinkerbell, but I've felt their presence on several occasions, and I rather like working with them, even if it is me being foolish and misinterpreting them running sort of like a protection racket. Interestingly, they've taken a few things of mine. Worryingly, that includes a pair of scissors, a bath plug, and one of my Rune books. So yes, I'll be one book down from a lot of it, from all of my books. I just plain can't find it. It's a big book as well. I can only think the Fae might have taken it. But anyway, onto the books. The first lot are they are Moon books by a company called Moonbox. I think I showed a Moon book in the previous episode, part number 2, about the Green Man. But these are other publications. They're not quite slim volumes. They're normally sort of like 101 books, an introductory guide to paganism and certain magical practices, Wicker or paganism, concentrating on a certain path, or even an introduction to Norse magic or working with Thor. The first of these is Way of the Faery Shaman by Flavia Kate Peters. The author photo on the back has her having bright red hair. But yeah, this one is the Shaman Pathway series by Moonbox, and it talks about meditations, although meditations can sometimes be medicines, sometimes. But there's stuff on gnomes, salamanders, undines, grounding, air magic, wind spells, certain elements, world healing meditation. Yeah, it's stuff to do with meditations and stuff. The next one is Halo Quinn, Your Faery Magic, the Pagan Portals one. A couple of these. It's discover what it means to be Fae and unlock your natural power. Yes, I really quite like the Fae, and it's well in this one there's a number of stuff, thoughts behind the fairy path, a creation story, rationality and irrationality, and fairy altar, heart box, magic mirror, travel journal, stuff to do with cleansing and grounding, using oracle cards, stuff to do with second sight. Yes, wild and untamed magic, and the fairyland. Yes. Here we go. And the next one is by someone who's quite famous for fairy magic, Morgan Daimler. She's considered to be quite an authority. She's done several books in the Moonbox series, most of which are to do with Fae. Yeah, this is Fairy Witchcraft. Morgan Daimler has her own YouTube channel as well, and she can regularly be seen on some of the fairy folklore Facebook groups as well. So I think she has her own Facebook page as well. Yes, this one. Yes, fairy tools, basic practices, fairy plants and animals, fairy familiars, guides and communicating with the other world. Yes. I quite like Morgan Daimler's stuff. Yeah, she's got a very nice way of writing things. There we go. I think I'll be showing more of a couple more of her books shortly. Yeah, I'm forgetting what I've shown and what I haven't at the moment. I might already have shown a couple of her books in a previous episode, maybe the first one. But yeah, I know in the previous episode I mentioned the Silmarillion, and that there's an organisation that reckons that Tolkien channelled quite a lot of his philosophy, and it channelled quite a lot into building up, like the creation myths in the Silmarillion. His a little booklet of part of one of those part of that organisation. If people are interested, I'll leave a link in the comments or the description. Comment if you can't find it. Comment if you're interested, and I'll do my best to find a few useful links for people if people are interested. But this is mainly the main little booklet. This is mainly by Calanterniel and Nathaniel Elwyn. This is sort of more of like a dedication sort of ceremony. The organisation ties in with some of the starseed philosophies and elfkin, stuff like that. I've not done this particular ritual yet, but I'm considering it. It's something that's curious to me. It's generally taking on from the fairies and the elves and stuff. I find it fascinating. Some more stuff on the fairies stuff. Here is Myths and Legends of the Celtic Race. I'll say leading on from fairies. Some of there's the Tuatha De Danann, who are sometimes considered as a type of elf. That translates as the people Tuatha De Danann, or the anglicised version Tuatha De Danann. They're sort of elfish and disappeared beneath the mounds, and it translates as the children of Danu, one of the Irish goddesses. But T.J. Rolleston has painstakingly assembled from years of research into the surviving manuscripts this exceptional collection of Celtic stories dating to earliest antiquity, and is formidable, valid and impressive today as it was on publication in 1911. Any ambitious and embracing an ambitious and embracing work. Offers a rare combination of historical insight and lively storytelling. This was recommended to me. It's got stuff about the Celts of the Plain, dolmens, cromlechs and gemini going on. Significance of Irish place names. Blemish of Fergus. Journey to Fairyland. See, there is stuff to do with fairies. The Island of the Falcon, it goes into the myths and legends. I think it cross-references it with some of the Welsh legends as well. In the previous episode, in part 2, I had shown off some of the Arthurian and Welsh and Irish myths collected into volumes. So, yeah, if you would like some names of some books to start you going, check that out. I think it's quite early on in the video. But this was recommended to me by someone who's very, very knowledgeable about Vikings and stuff. I call him a Viking, a scholar of the Norse stuff. But I think it's more of a private study. He's really sort of almost obsessed. In the sense he knows loads and loads and loads, and he sort of corrects experts and things. So but it might be. So I don't know. I don't know if he's got an official qualification, but he's able to, he knows so much. He's able to correct people who do have an official qualification in it. I know he's been a Viking reenactor for many years. He's ill now, but yeah. But onwards we go. Yes, here we go. Here is another Morgan Daimler. A new dictionary of the fairies. Yeah, this one is a Moonbox again. Another Morgan Daimler. I think I've got a couple more of hers. This is basically, it's more like a dictionary. It is more like a dictionary. It's got a lot of things in alphabetical order. The Elfin Night, a big poem. Dowin Sith, probably butchering that pronunciation. Corrigan's, Puka, they're interesting. Trickster rabbit entities, bipedal, and I think they hang around on roadsides and basically be a bit mischievous, telling travellers myths and things and being a bit. You've got to watch what they say. The film Harvey with James Stewart, Harvey was thought to be a puka, but there's also Robert Anton Wilson who wrote the Illuminatus trilogy. It's got an exclamation mark on the end, so you've got to pronounce it Illuminatus. But anyway, yeah, he reckons he had an encounter with a puka. But then he says, could have been an alien, could have been a demon, could have been an angel. He's not really sure. Puka is more of a catch-all term, and as he's of Irish ancestry, it seemed to be most suitable. But yeah, this has stuff ranging from a couple of paragraphs to whole pages. Yeah. Many pages in some cases. It's got something on the Tuatha Dé Danann. Trooping Fairies. Tilwyth Teg. Or even a little bit on vampires. Yeah, that's quite a new book. I got this one off Amazon. Yeah, it's been out a couple of months or so. At 3 months at very, very most. But it has little bits of snippets about fairy lore and legend. Yeah. There we go. I'm going to do this one first. Got these both together. Still got the price tag on. British Fairies. And this is showing things back to front, so I'm mainly relying on the screen. John Cruise. Yeah, this is by Rune Magic publication house. And the immediate bit I turn on, it includes a word that I'm probably not allowed to say on YouTube. But yeah, Pinch Him, Black and Blue is one of the chapters. From Fairies, guard me. Talismans against fairy folk. Fairies or devils, whatsoever you be, the belief in witches and fairies. Nymphs and fairies, Renaissance influences upon the national fairy. Fear of little men, how the fairy got her wings. Fairies of Albion, William Blake and fairy origins. So it goes into a small selection of pages on a number of different topics. I've heard he's quite well regarded, and that's by Rune Magic. This is another Rune Magic book, Ley Lines, Danny Sullivan. Yeah, Rune Magic, Danny Sullivan, Ley Lines. That's the tagline. Yeah, there's some people hold that there is a lot of mystical energy that travels along the ley line, and that the convergences of these ley lines are very important and very powerful. Others, of course, think that that's a load of nonsense, and that it was made up. It was basically a misunderstanding by a cartographer, I believe, who was looking at, I think, ancient landmarks anyway. And this goes in, but this, Alfred Watkins was the man's name originally. Some people think that he was being a bit foolish when he postulated the existence of ley lines and their mystical energy. Others hold that they really do have mystical powers. One thing that's curious is that you don't really hear much about them beyond Britain. I think there are a few in France, but beyond that you don't really hear about ley lines, but I presume that they would actually pass quite far around the world. There would be a fully global network of ley lines. Don't know how they've shifted over time with tectonic plates or anything, but I don't know. Be curious to. I would have thought there would be ley lines in other places, but yeah. But this is a copy of an old book, The Commonwealth, The Secret Commonwealth of Elves, Fauns and Fairies, by Robert Kirk. He was a reverend, and he was alive in the late 17th century and was a Scottish minister. Minister. Just reading from the blurb on the back at the moment. But this is quite a slim volume. Quite old. This was late 1600s. But yeah, it was first published about the time of the Battle of Waterloo, the Napoleonic War. But yeah, this is meant to be one of the oldest books on fairy lore and stuff, and Reverend Robert Kirk was meant to have gone around Scotland collecting all the folk tales specifically about fairies, and wanted to collect them all into a book, which wasn't published until 1911. But anyway, that's meant to be one of the earliest books on fairies and stuff. That's excluding the old proper, well, I say proper, so a lot of the other old fairy tales that involve, you know, the Tuatha De Danann and stuff, the Celtic myths and legends, Welsh ones, and other things. But I think this is mainly from Scotland, the Scottish Fae. But yeah, that's meant to be almost a must-have for anyone interested in the Fae and wanting to do Fae workings and stuff like that. And onwards, we have, yeah, 2 more Morgan Daimler books from Moonbox. Yeah, just checking, both from Moonbox, both by Morgan Daimler. This one, Fairycraft, Follow the Path of Fairy Witchcraft. Yeah, Stones and Plants. This seems similar to a previous one. I'm wondering if it's an abridged version and I've got them by accident. But anyway, this is a much thicker book. So there might be silly me for not checking, hey? Bad boy. But yeah, it's there might even be you might even be able to take in there might be extra angles present in the abbreviated version if it is. So I'll have to check properly. But this looks into fairy workings, fairy etiquette and protections, the other crowd and ancestors, tools and ritual spaces, holidays, prayers, rituals, practices, stones, plants, animals, living, witchcraft, dreaming and meditation. Yeah, Morgan Daimler again. Yeah. And there we go. A guide to the Celtic fair folk. Sorry, trying to read it backwards again. But yeah, this one's also by Morgan Daimler and stuff. This goes more into dealings with the fairies, courts and divisions in fairy, denizens, traditions, mortal interactions. Yes, it goes more into sort of the behaviour of the fairies. And I know Morgan Daimler has done quite a lot of work with the fairies. She does a lot of practices and witchcraft and stuff like that with the fairies. Yes, if you're interested, I'll try and remember to put a link to some of her stuff in the description or a comment. If I forget and you're interested, please comment and remind me. There we go. What we have. The North Shaymin. And that is Evelyn C. Rysdyke. I'm not sure. She lives in Maine. Yes, I got this at the same time as a book I showed in the previous video, Balder's Magic. That's Balder, the very, very handsome god of the Norse. I think Loki got him killed with mistletoe sticks. Yeah, because Loki thought doing things like that was hilarious. So, yeah. But, yeah, this one looks at things a bit differently to the Boulder one that I showed in part 2. There's the power of North Shaymin, visionaries in our family tree, discovering our ancestors' gifts, wills of the shaman, the first shaman becomes a goddess. Yeah, performing group rituals. This one does go into Sami Shayminry a bit. I got both. I got the Boulder Magic book and this one because I was looking into Sammy Shayminry. But yeah, it looks into the Norns and the Nurturing Tree, Ragnarok or Renewal, stuff like that. Connecting with, looking into shamanic practices. Here we go. Next is two more books by an author that I mentioned last video, Tillian Penry. Here we go. Tillian Penry. She has her own YouTube channel using that name, Tylluan Penry. Yes, and she runs Wolven Howl Press. If you visit her YouTube channel, there should be a link and stuff. And these are by Wolven Howl Press. There are two here. There's an introduction to Anglo-Saxon magic and witchcraft. That's quite a slim volume. It's just about 35 pages. Looks into some of the gods. Just a general overview. Tillian Penry is very nice. She actually inscribes a lot of books, and with the stuff on Anglo-Saxon stuff, she inscribes it in Old English. So that's her handwriting, and also includes a little translation. Yeah. Well, here we go. The Magical World of the Anglo-Saxons. There we go. This one is more... Yeah, this one has an inscription as well. I was really impressed by that. Considers horses and priests, amulets and charms, variety in magic, divination and curses, dragons and weird, how they lived, the resistance to Christianity, Christianizing magic, the land remedy charm, symbols, words and other magical methods, Anglo-Saxon magical thinking, numbers and elves, including a chapter apart specifically on number 9, which is important. On Yggdrasil there were 9 planets, 9 worlds, so 9 is an important number to the Anglo-Saxons and the Norse as well. I think the previous book had a guide to each of the runes, about 4 pages of information on each of the Anglo-Saxon runes, which is a separate set of runes to the Elder Foddock, which is the most common. It seems to be the most common runic alphabet used for divination. The Anglo-Saxon one, I think, has 27 or 8 runes, while the Elder Foddock is about 25, depending on whether you have the word rune in. There we go. This here is a book that I mentioned in part 1 in regards to the Sorcerer's Screed. I thought this little book might have been published by the same company, the Icelandic Magic Company, but this copy seems to have been published by Andrews McMeel Publishing. Just there. So, whether I misremembered or whether the Icelandic Magic Company sold the rights of publication to Andrews McMeel, I'm not sure, but this was meant to be a bit of a joke book. It's got the Necro Hat stave. stuff to do with this. Two friends make an agreement that when one of them dies, the other will flay his buttocks and make a hat from the skin. The living friend will then put the stave under the hat and place it on his head. The hat will fuse to the scalp and the wearer, and whatever bar he enters, there will always be a happy hour. If the wearer of the hat dies while the hat is fused to his head, his soul will never find peace and will wander. But yeah, there's stave to release your inner Viking. You're a Viking. Grrr. Paint this stave on the prow of your longship, car, with the blood of your fallen foes, or red paint. Very expensive authentic Viking beer. Grow a Viking beard. Watch shows on your genuine Viking TV. Genuine Viking TV. Where half-naked men shout and wave swords about. Shout and wave a sword about yourself. Wear an authentic plastic Viking helmet with horns. Wander around at 3 a.m. wondering where all your money and friends have gone. That's one of the spells. Yeah, stave. I think I mentioned this in the first video. Where stave to get more likes on Instagram. To get more likes on Instagram, log out of your account at midnight on a moonless night. Write this stave on your forehead with the blood of a depressed moose. And take a selfie in front of a poor widow's back door. Log back onto Instagram at dawn and post the selfie, and your likes will multiply from that point onward. Good luck. Don't try them at home, kids. Try them at one of your friends' homes, then generally just get him into trouble. Don't even do that either. There we go. Next up. It's this one. It's the Kalevala in by Elias Lunrot. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that. Kalevala, not Kalevala. Something I need to shake off. But that's in the original Finnish, and I bought that by accident. Then I got this one, which has a translation and the original. And this one is translated by John Martin Crawford and published by Forgotten Books. But the Kalevala is the Finnish creation myth. Parts of it were quoted by Taurisas, the band. So that's pretty good. I like Taurisas. I'd been listening to them for a while before finding out about that. A few more to go. We have the Balian. Balian, and this one has the Emerald Tablet of Hermes. Can't quite read the cover, but the Balian is Hermetic philosophy. This one is edited by Dr. Jane Marty Smith. Yeah. These can be picked up quite cheaply. I think you can even get a version of the Balian online. This also there's the Emerald Tablet of Hermes included, but that's not to be confused with the Emerald Tablets of Thoth the Atlantean. That's a bit different. If you're very curious about Atlantis, look them up. But I've got led to believe it's not quite the same Thoth as the Egyptian god of knowledge, but a lot of people do presume that they are one and the same. There we go. Essential Enochian Grimoire. Was it Aaron? Yeah, Aaron Leach. Yes, Enochian is quite interesting. That is angel language. That's to do with Edward Kelly and John Dee. John Dee being a doctor, the first unofficial astronomer royal to Elizabeth I. Unofficial in the sense that it was a role that hadn't come into existence. She was the royal. He was the astrologer to Elizabeth I, and Edward Kelly. They hung around with each other for quite a long time and went to Poland. There's a lot of myths and legends. Dee was spying on European courts and using 007 as his code name, so he's the only real 007 that there is. So yeah, but they scryed, and Edward Kelly, who was believed to be a con man, teamed up with him. He then met angels who gave him the Enochian language. But then again, if Edward Kelly was trying to con John Dee, then it was a very, very long and arduous con that had no rewards. So why would you start doing a con that has no rewards, that takes many, many years? But he had a habit before meeting up with John Dee in doing cons. Apparently a punishment for that was to cut people's ears off. But yeah, a certain Mr. Aleister Crowley works a lot with Enochian as well. I've been a bit nervous with practicing it. I've not really practiced it much at all. One of the things being that demons used to be angels, so they'd surely use Enochian as well. So yeah, so it's a bit difficult to know if you're talking to an angel or a demon with it. But I've heard a few strange stories, and including someone who covered one wall of his bedroom in Enochian writing. I think he'd got a bit sort of hyperactive with doing a lot of spell casting, covered his wall in Enochian writing, and just kept it up. Every night he kept it up. There were strange noises, bashing, creaking, tapping, coming from in the wall, and he eventually painted over it all because it was disturbing his sleep, and he couldn't sleep properly, and it just freaked him out, and the noises stopped once he'd painted over them. So that's all quite curious. Yeah. On we go. We have a book by an author I mentioned in the previous episode in regards to Northumbrian runes. This is Nigel Pennock. Witchcraft and Secret Societies of Rural England. I think this mostly homes in on Suffolk and Norfolk, the East Anglia region. But yeah, that's quite curious. Yeah, he's full of sources and things like that. But witches, wise women, quack doctoresses and cunning men, geomantic traditions and the magic of place, devilish divinations, magic, farming and the land, confraternity of the plough, so that's joint brotherhood of the plough, drovers, markets and fairs, secrets of the horsemen, millers, gardeners and bonesmen. Yeah, it's sort of like yeah, there's little practices and stuff that a lot of, well, it's proper country folk magic. The real stuff behind a lot of folk horror films. Yeah. The next one, I think this might be based partly on Wicker practices, perhaps. So I need to look into this more. Saxon Sorcery and Magic by, I'm going to have to, Alaric Albertson, Weird Working, Runecraft, Divination and Wart Cunning. But yeah, that's very much sort of, yeah, goes into runes quite a bit. Runecraft, Alchemy and Magic, Power of Speech, Herbs and Their Lore, Arts of Divination, Health Magic, Love Magic, Prosperity Magic. Yeah, there's not much with that's specifically Anglo-Saxon. It was quite similar to the culture. Anglo-Saxon culture was quite similar to the Norse culture. So it's always been presumed that the magic is very, very similar in itself. But there's not much specifically about Anglo-Saxon magic. Some of the stuff I've found is more to do with some of their practices mixed with Wicker. I think there is a set Wicker church that is Saxon Wicker. But yeah, it's a bit peculiar that there isn't as much on Anglo-Saxon magic as there is on Norse magic. It sort of presumes that they're very similar, as I said. They worked a lot with animism and stuff to do with fairies playing tricks on you, dwarves spreading disease, so, and everything having its own spirit. So, yes. On we go, nearly at the end. Actually, one I missed out a bit. Hold on. Oh no, picked it up at the right time. Here we go. I will do this one first. The Chicken Kabbalah. And this is actually by Lon Milo Ducat. And I think he was in, is he in the OTO? But he's in a magical, doesn't say on the back. He's in one of the big magical, pardon me, one of the big magical organisations, and this is very, very, very easy to read. It's a guide to the Kabbalah. He's written many books, from plain witchcraft to Kabbalah. He's done stuff on the Thoth Tarot, but he's got a very easy way of reading. It's very plain and straightforward. This one's very plain and simple and straightforward. It's a good comprehensive beginner's guide to the Kabbalah, and that segues neatly into Understanding Aleister Crowley's Thoth Tarot by Lon Milo Ducat. I'm studying, I'm mainly studying how to use a Thoth deck, so I got this. But it's been talked about quite a lot and recommended that the Thoth deck is quite difficult to use by some people have difficulty getting their head around it. It's a bit different from the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, but I think that might be mostly because the Thoth deck and the Kabbalah sort of go hand in hand. it's a bit how the Elder Futhuk set of runes is Norse. Norse mythology and the runes go hand in hand. The Kabbalah and the Thoth deck sort of go hand in hand. So it's useful to. It's been recommended that study both at the same time. It'll be easier to. It'll be easier to comprehend the other one while studying the other. They both go hand in hand. Yeah, he seems quite an interesting guy. Yeah, the Thoth deck. I know a lot of people haven't got on with it all that much sometimes, and they get frustrated with it. Well, yeah, there we go. Another Thoth companion, or the Thoth companion. Michael Osiris Snufkin. I always think it's good practice to try and get 2 books on the same thing, if possible, so that you get things from different points of view. Adds an angle. Adds 2 different angles to the same thing. Not to rely on one source. Then once you've doing that, using that principle as a basic for learning the thing, the practice, the divination set, whether it's runes, tarot, whatever. Start off with 2 books to get a better starting view, and then you can study other things beyond that. It's practice yourself, build up your own views of the practice, the deck, the divination set. Look up other sources and stuff like that. See if you can add extra angles to it. Yeah. And there we go. I'll leave those till later. Right. I think one fell on the floor earlier. I think I'll leave those to another video. Actually, those 2 go together, and I don't really want to be mucking around, crawling all over the floor on the video. But here we go. This is Paul Rees Montfort. Keep wanting to call him Montford. Paul Rees Montfort. Ogham Rune book. Yeah, this cross-references it with several myths and stuff, and bits with Merlin, a bit of bardic stuff, bit of modern druidry sort of stuff. It seems to come from a more modern druidic standpoint. I'm not sure. I'm wondering if Paul Rees Montfort might be in Obod, the Order of Bards, Ovates, and Druids. Sorry, I'm trying to remember the acronym. The Order of Bards, Ovates, and Druids. I'm wondering if he is. I'm not too sure. And again, because it's always, as I've just said, it's always very good to get 2 books on the same thing to sort of get different angles as you learn. This is Ogham and Colbrane. Colbrane's a Welsh version of Ogham, I believe. But this is again by Nigel Pennock. Yeah, I just showed the rural witchcraft book, and showed a book of his on Northumbrian runes in the previous episode. Always shows his sources, always has lots and lots of facts about, snippets and quotes from ancient manuscripts, whether it's some of the medieval stuff written by monks, or quoting some of the classical stuff from when there was the Roman invasion of Europe. Yes, that's some of my books, ending with the Ogham Runes, and that's it for today. I wish you all a good bye and a good health. A good health? One, but that's surely followed by a second. Night night everybody. Night night.